All right, guys, the wait is finally over. I can finally check out one of these amplifiers. Today, we're going to take a look at the Headfirst Alta. Let's get started. Thanks for joining me for today's video. I'm going to get right into it here. First of all, I want to thank Less Talk, More Tone, a friend of mine who has a YouTube channel, which will be linked in the description below, for allowing me to take this amplifier home and do a demo for you guys. So he let me borrow it for a few days, and I really appreciate that very much. By the way, he's going through some health issues right now, and there's also a email link in the description for anyone who wants to purchase some of his gear. He's selling tons of gear right now. So if you want to help him out by getting some awesome gear for yourself, I mean, go ahead and click that link and email him, and he can email you a list, pictures, whatever you want of all the stuff that he's trying to sell. And he owns a lot of really killer gear too. So he's a good dude, and I'm sure you'll like working with him. So go ahead and click those links and see if there's anything that he's got that you want to buy. Let's get started on the clean channel now. I have no effects on. So over here you have a bunch of different switches that allow you to do different things. You have the channel 1, channel 2, and channel 3. You can choose from two different masters, master 1 and 2. You have a vintage modern switch. You have a clipping switch, two bright caps you can choose from. And then you also have the loop on and off, and then there's their store button right there. So you can actually program this amplifier and change everything via MIDI. So there's a lot of good features regarding that. So you have depth, which is self-explanatory. You have a response knob, which is basically like a negative feedback knob. So going counterclockwise, it gets a little warmer, darker, and softer. And then when you go clockwise, it gets brighter and has more attack and bite to it. And then you have the presence knob here. And then, of course, your tone stack that you share for channel 2 and 3. And then your tone stack that you have on channel 1 is over here. So channel 1 can do either clean or just mildly like a mild crunch mode. I'm not going to go into the crunch mode of channel 1 today because I just don't play that kind of music. And I'm sure there's plenty of other channels that have covered that. So I'm just going to stick with the cleans for channel 1 right now. And so I have all three of these channels dialed in the way I like them. So what I'm going to do is go to each channel, play a few riffs on it, how I have it set up, and then I will deconstruct the channel down to having everything, regarding the switches turned off, and then I'll turn everything back on and reconstruct it for you just to show you what those switches do. So let's listen to the clean channel, which is channel 1 right now. Again, there are no effects. Let's just see what it sounds like. Okay, so I have no bright switch on right now. So let's hear what it sounds like when I choose the different bright switches. Yeah, that second bright switch really adds some volume and a little bit of punch to it as well, and elevates the top end a little bit. So that's kind of cool. I think that's a little much for a clean, but I like the first bright switch. Let's try that again. It's on right now. All right, that sounds good. Let's adjust a few things over here since I engaged that. Let's bring the mids up a little, bring the treble down a hair, and balance it out. Very nice clean channel. Let's dress it up with some Julia chorus and some delay. See what it sounds like. actually sounds really nice. That's a great clean channel. Got nothing bad to say about it at all. Very, very nice for recording purposes and live purposes. I think it just sounds really good. I love it. So let's go ahead and switch over to channel 2. Again, I have everything set up the way I like it right now, and then I will go ahead and deconstruct it after that. I'm boosting it with the Mud Killer as well. And don't worry, all you boost Karens, I will turn the boost pedal off, and you can hear the amp without that too. I'm just showing you my favorite settings with the boost to start things off with. Here goes channel 2. All right, so while I'm playing, I'll turn the boost off and show you what it sounds like. All right, so it's a good sounding amp without it, but I definitely prefer it with a boost. I think this amp really needs a boost, at least to do what I want it to do. I boost all my amps, so it's not a big deal, you know, but I think this amp really is kind of begging for one anyways, and that's not a bad thing, because again, I boost all my amps, so I don't really give a shit. But it sounds really good, so let's go ahead and deconstruct this channel and show you what it sounds like when I turn off all the switches. Okay, those switches make a huge freaking difference. I love, so it's in vintage mode right now, okay? So I love the modern mode, and I like the clipping as well because it adds some compression, and I think it adds a better feel to it, tightens it up a little bit. And then the bright switch also really helps out quite a bit with that as well. And yeah, I just think that the combination of these switches really do help. So let's turn them all back on one by one so you can hear what they do. Hear how it tightened up immediately as soon as I went from vintage to modern? Let me do that again. Yeah, that clipping really does take the volume down a little bit, but I have this set at an appropriate volume for my mixes and stuff. So yeah, I think the clip is really good. So it adds a little bit of compression. You will lose some volume, but you can always attenuate on either the channel or the master volume. But I do like that a lot. I prefer that. So let's go ahead and check out the bright switches and pick the best one. I guess bright 1 works best because I know I'm going to boost it, so I just going to use that with the boost pedal on. So the boost pedal's off, let's kick it on now. Yeah, definitely benefits from the boost. So let me make sure I got everything on that I want on. Let's go back over to the amp. So I have channel 2, master 2, the modern switch is engaged, the clipping switch is engaged, the bright. And yeah, so let's mess around with the gain. now and just see what we have. I'm just trying to keep track of what's what here. Gain 2. So I have the gain dimed. So let's go ahead and mess around with that. All right, so for me, I got to dime it. It doesn't mean I have a ton of gain going on here. It's just enough for what I want to do for like a good crunch channel. And it's got enough for that, you know. So let's mess around with the vintage modern switch while I have it boosted. Yeah, I love the modern setting a lot more than the vintage. And I like the fact that he's got those options on there for you. So, you know, not everybody likes playing modern stuff. So I like the fact that you can do that. And again, all this stuff is MIDI programmable. So that's nice as well. So as far as this amp having enough gain, I think it's a great, at least for this channel, it's a great classic rock or even maybe modern rock channel, you know. Especially when you engage the modern switch. It has enough gain for a good crunch channel. Let's play some riffs on this channel now and just see what it sounds like with some riffs. Yeah, sounds good. I'm doing one take on these riffs today too. I don't care if I screw up a couple things. It's late and I'm trying to get this video done. So, but yeah, I think it sounds good for some Van Halen stuff, and let's do some more Van Halen. Well, it definitely does the Van Halen stuff, and there's plenty of gain in there for that. Let's do one more riff. Let's do some docking. What the hell? Yeah, it'll do all that stuff very easily. So definitely plenty of gain for that. I would say that this channel is like an angry classic rock channel. So it'll do classic rock, but it's also got a little more kick to it, you know, than some of the older amps from the 80s do. So it's a little more aggressive, a little more gainier than those amps, and I think it accomplishes all that stuff really well. If you want less gain, maybe turn the gain down, obviously, duh, Captain Obvious, or just hit the vintage modern switch, go back down to vintage, and see what you get with that. In fact, let's do a quick riff with the vintage switch engaged now, and just see what it sounds like. Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of that softer top end that the Marshalls had back then. So yeah, it's got that, you know. So yeah, I just think that the switches he put on here are very handy, and whatever he did to make, you know, the tone change in a way that it needs to, I think he picked the right frequencies to boost and cut accordingly depending on how you have the switch engaged. So yeah, so if you want that kind of mellower top end, a little softer, a little thicker top end, just go to vintage mode and it'll give you that all day long. Okay, so now let's check out channel 3 and see what that channel has to offer. I have all my favorite settings and switches there, and I have the boost pedal engaged, so I'll deconstruct it from there, but let's just hear what it sounds like to kick things off. And you know what I'll do? I'll switch from channel 2 to channel 3 so you can hear the difference. Yeah, there's definitely more gain. It feels like maybe another gain stage. Maybe 2, I don't know, but there's definitely more gain in there. And as you can see, I have the gain cranked on channel 3 as well. So let's go ahead and mess around with the gain settings now and just see what we can get out of it. So as you can see, all the gain is usable on this channel and on channel 2. You know, you can crank it all the way up and it's not too saturated like an EVH Stealth would be or anything like that. So it still remains articulate, and I really like the feel as well. So you could probably get away with 3 o'clock, you know, on channel 3 on the gain, but if I'm going to be doing that channel for leads and rhythms, which I would probably end up doing because I really like this channel the best, I would probably just crank it so I got, you know, enough gain for my leads. So before we get into all the riffs and mixes, let's go ahead and deconstruct this channel now and see what it sounds like. I'll start by turning the boost pedal off. So as you can hear, when you turn the clip off, it definitely gets more open, less compressed, and a little bit louder. So let's go ahead and construct this channel back up again. I already showed you what the bright switches do and everything, so I'll just quickly put this channel back together, and I will turn the boost on last, and then let's just see how nasty we can get it. All right, not bad. So, like I was saying, for rhythms on this channel, I would probably have the gain at 3 o'clock. You know, anything below that, it starts getting a little thin and raspy sounding, so I want it about right here. Again, all the gain is usable on this amplifier. But since, if I was to do some mixes today, which I'm probably going to do on this channel, for rhythm and lead, I'll just crank the gain because it's still pretty articulate with the gain cranked up all the way, especially in a mix. But if I was to set this amp up, which I did not do for, you know, MIDI switching, I would use channel 2 for my rhythms and channel 3 for my leads. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to use channel 3 for both on some of my mixes. But before we do that, let me switch guitars, and I'll do a mix on channel 2 that's just a rhythm mix, so you can hear what that sounds like. So here are the settings I used on channel 2 for that mix. It's got a really nice chug to it. It's just really thick and heavy and beefy, and it sounded great. I really liked how it felt as well. Responds really well to my playing, and I really think it loves the Mud Killer as well. So yeah, I think it's a great rhythm channel for anybody, even for leads for some people as well. I'm a gain fanatic, so I like channel 3 for that, but I could get away with doing some leads on channel 2 as well. So now let's switch over to channel 3 and do a full mix with that. Both rhythm and leads will be on channel 3. And by the way, I forgot to mention, I'm playing this amp through my Mesa 212 with vintage 30s. I usually have the picture of it up on the screen, but I forgot to do that today. So that's what I've been using so far. So before I do this next mix, let's go ahead and see what this amp sounds like when I play it through both the Zilla cab and the Mesa cab at the same time. So we'll have a DV77 speaker on the Zilla cab paired with a vintage 30 on the Mesa. Let's just see what it sounds like with those. Yeah, it adds a little bit more mid-range to it, so I think that sounds really good. So let's do a mix with these two cabs and the amp in channel 3 now. there you have it. Played a couple mixes with it, played it through a combination of cabs and different speakers and mics and stuff, and did some riffs. And yeah, I'm so glad I had a chance to play this amplifier. I've always heard really good things about it. And again, I want to thank my buddy from Less Talk More Tone for allowing me to take this home and check it out. It's really, really cool to be able to check out all these different amplifiers. That's one of the things I love so much about having this channel, is I'm able to do all that. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So what are my final thoughts on this amplifier? Well, I think it's a really good rock amplifier with a little bit of an angry edge to it. Can it do metal? Yeah, I think it can. I think it's more in the heavier rock part thing, and I think it kind of straddles the line between rock and metal. And I think, like I said, it can do the metal stuff. You just got to use, you know, a boost pedal and use, you know, these switches here and really dial this thing in to do that. Now that's why the switches are there, right? I mean, so that you can add different things to the amplifier to get it more aggressive or less aggressive, or however you want it to be. So I love amps that come with all these kinds of features, and the choices that are made for you with these switches are great. Like, there's nothing when you push a switch that's like, I wish you would have made it this way. No, I think they're very good choices with these switches. I mean, as soon as you hit the vintage modern switch and it goes into vintage mode, it's the perfect vintage mode. When you hit the modern switch, it definitely adds that edge to it that a modern guitar player would like. So yeah, I really like this amp. I think they did a great job on it, and it was an absolute pleasure dialing this in. And as you can see, I didn't have to do anything weird with the tone stack to make it work, you know? I mean, shit, I got the bass top dead center, mids pretty much top dead center, boosted the treble a little bit, got the depth just a hair past noon, and the response is a hair past noon, and the presence is right in the middle. So there's no weird settings or weird goofy tricks you got to do with this amplifier to get it to sound good. It all pretty much makes sense. It's pretty logical. I really love the fact that it has MIDI. That's a great feature on any amplifier, because now I can switch between channels. If I'm going to use something like this in a live setting, I can switch from my crunch rhythm, which is channel 2, to my lead channel, which is channel 3, so I can get, you know, a really nice, tight, articulate sound in my crunch rhythms, and I can get that saturation for my leads. And I can switch to my cleans when I want to as well. And if I program this amplifier, like I showed you earlier, and save that with the store button, when I switch to those channels, all those settings switch over accordingly as well. Now, one thing I will say is this amp is pretty damn articulate. It really is. I mean, there's a lot of great articulation in here, note separation, and you can hear your riffs really well. And I think it's forgiving enough as well, where it's not a pain in the ass to play like some of the drier amps out there, like the Fryettes. This thing is fun to play. The feel is really good. And I would say that if you're a Fryette guy, but you hate the fact that those things are so sluggish and the feel on them is just terrible, this would be a great choice for you, because it does have that little bit of a dryness to it, but it also has that great texture and awesome feel as well. So this might be something that you would consider as an alternative to a Fryette amplifier. I'm not saying it sounds exactly like a Fryette, but there's a bit of a Fryette DNA in this that it just kind of reminds me of it, but a way better version of a Fryette amplifier. There's some DNA from a bunch of different amps in here. I can't really put my finger on everything. I know some people say modded Marshall, but the thing is everything's a freaking modded Marshall these days. I mean, it is what it is, you know? So anyways, I do like the amp, and I think it's pretty freaking cool. The more I played it, the more I got to know it, the more I liked it. So I did enjoy it very much. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you did, please give it a like. And I want to thank all my subscribers and Patreon supporters. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing and supporting my channel. And I want to thank everybody who has purchased my preset and capture packs for ToneX, Quad Cortex, and KEMPER as well. Thank you guys so much. And yes, I will be profiling this for you guys, so stay tuned for that. I will definitely be working hard profiling this for you on all 3 of those platforms, and I'll get those done as soon as I can. And if you're new to the channel and you like what I do here, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss further episodes or live streams. I got a lot more stuff coming up for you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.